come on up here behind us. My God, your kids are going to look at this TV thing and say, where is Dad?
We don't need
Jill, I think you need to be up here as well.
Yes, Jill, Mark, yeah.
I just want to stand next to Mark.
Who else is here?
Put the
four of you together, it'll look like an
Yeah.
Undertaker's convention.
That's good.
Terry, how are you? I didn't expect you. Come on up. You want to come up? Come on up. With more the merrier here. All right. So let's get going, and good morning to all of you, and we're delighted to be up here this morning. Once again, focusing on the West Haymarket and getting the job down there done with regard to expanding out over the open spaces. And this particular project is very exciting because of the components involved here. And I want to start out by introducing some of the people who are with us today and part of the project in one way or another. You all know David Landis, of course, from many press conferences similar to this one. Clay Smith is here, one of the developers. Terry Himes from Nelnet. Jill Moline with Moline Grocery Stores. Is that as correct as I can be?
Yes.
Okay. And Terry Ewan, of course, is with the Downtown Association. Mark Whitehead with Whitehead Oil. And they're all playing an important part of this. It centers around the selection of Lumberworks Lofts, LLC, to build what are technically three separate buildings on the west and north sides of the Lumberworks garage, which is on Canopy Street between O and N. Lumberworks Lofts LLC consists of two great Lincoln companies, Speedway Properties and Nelnet. It's an $11 million investment, more or less, that will include about 48 housing units, 8,000 square feet of office space, and 15,000 square feet of retail space. To fill a significant portion of the retail space, the developers are working with another longtime Lincoln company, Whitehead Oil, which plans to open a U-Stop market, which is a much larger concept or version of the U-Stop convenience stores. Mark and Jill will have more details on that in a few minutes. More and more Lincoln residents are choosing to live in the downtown, choosing to live in the West Haymarket. Many people enjoy living where they can walk and bike to work. The new Huddle headquarters, already under construction, of course, in the West Haymarket. Another project involving both Speedway and Nelnet will add to that demand. This project fills two important needs. It adds more non-student housing in a high-demand area, and downtown residents will finally have a grocery store. The speed of growth in the West Haymarket continues to exceed expectations. Additional projects in the South Haymarket also being proposed in the near future, will be proposed in the near future. This growth would not be possible without strong partnerships that have developed between the private and public sectors. So I want to thank Speedway and Nelnet and Whitehead Oil for their continuing enormous investment in the city of Lincoln. Thank you. Together, we are making even more exciting things happen in the capital city. So with that, Clay, why don't we start out with you?
Thank you, Mayor.
You bet.
Well, good morning. As the mayor said, I'm Clay Smith. I'm the general partner of Speedway Properties here in Lincoln. And I would like to thank the mayor specifically for this opportunity for us. We're excited about this project, which will expand the Haymarket South across O Street along Canopy Street. I'd like to take a moment to introduce our team. Lumberworks Lofts LLC is a 50-50 partnership between Nelnet and Speedway Properties. Speedway and Nelnet share a common vision for Lincoln. We love Lincoln, and together we are reinvesting our resources back in our hometown to help make Lincoln grow and to make it prosper. The mayor's introduced most of my team except for Jeff Nordhook, the CEO of Nelnet, who's here with us today. I have a few slides that I'd like to go through to illustrate our mixed-use development for this lumberworks site. We define a successful project as one that meets market needs. We see those needs as additional downtown housing, office space for startup companies, short bay retailing to give us more retail options, and the long sought-after downtown grocery store. None of this really could have happened without the city's cooperation. I want to thank the mayor, Dave Landis, Hallie Salem, and Dallas McGee from the Urban Development Department for their leadership. The city amenities also contributed to make this project successful. It's the shared use parking garage with its elevator and stair towers. It's the parking facility adjacent to our building. It's the in-street bike lanes that are going to be adjacent. And importantly, it's also the terminus of the Haymarket Gallery Alley, which will give us many locations to locate art. Let's talk about the retail component first. You'll see here a typical floor plan. As the mayor said, these are apartments and loft-style apartments and loft-style living units, 48 in total with 73 beds. This will be a combination of 1 and 2 bedroom units, which will be available for lease. This builds on the success that we've already experienced downtown with our Cadillac lofts and also our arena project. We see that there's unmet demand for downtown living by young professionals, empty nesters, and retirees. Let's talk briefly about the office component. Prior to the completion of the new Huddle building, we've already leased downtown as Speedway Properties over 100,000 square feet of office. It's a dynamic market, but we need more space. In partnership with Nelnet, we recently expanded the Fuse co-working space at 151, the old Salvation Army building, but we need more space. The new office component on the upper floors of the Liner building facing O Street. This will give us options to move companies that are growing in the Fuse space to move out and have space of their own. It will meet an unmet demand for small open office environments and startup tech companies. The footprint, as the mayor said, is about 8,000 square feet of office. Let's talk briefly about retail. This is the most exciting part for me. We currently have about 80,000 square feet in the Haymarket all leased. So we see that there is, again, unmet demand for retail space. We offer in this development 15,000 square feet of retail, new on the first floor of the 3 buildings. The short bay retail on the north building is exciting because it's a product that's not offered in the community right now. This will be available for local retailers, specialty shops, and merchants. But finally, and most importantly, we have secured a grocery store to be downtown. I'd like to introduce Jill Moline, who will share their vision for this downtown grocery.
Hi. Again, thank you to the City of Lincoln for allowing us this opportunity. We are thrilled to be working with Speedway and Nelnet, and I've partnered with Whitehead Oil to be bringing a grocery store here. A little bit about myself. I am from Imperial. We have 3 grocery stores, one in Imperial, one in Holyoke, Colorado, and one in Ray, Colorado. So I guess I bring the grocery experience here to Lincoln and to this space, which I'm very comfortable with since it's a smaller, smaller store, and that's what we're used to doing. We are partnering with Whitehead Oil because we were kind of going after the same dynamic, and with Mark and his support staff, we will be able to bring a grocery store, a full-service grocery store, down to the Haymarket, the West Haymarket area. Because we do plan on having a meat department, full-service deli, produce, everything that we hope the residents of the West Haymarket need. And it's going to be a mixture, a difficult one, because there's going to be empty nesters and college students, and we'll work to figure out the right mix for what the market will need. Anything else I need to cover, Mark?
No, briefly, based on comments made, I do want to give a little bit of a history from our perspective. I mean, this is about identifying consumer demand and reacting to it. And something we're excited about is the relationships as well. Whited Oil Company is 57 years old, and we haven't survived as long as we have by not evolving and continuing to evolve and continue to look at consumer demands and how to meet those demands. Whited Oil Company specifically a year ago started looking down in the Haymarket which is a non-traditional approach, as some of you might recognize with Whited Oil Company, because this will not have gasoline dispensers. But we started looking, and I approached Clay at that point. He had nothing for me. We got all the way down the aisle, almost to the altar for another alternative. Clay gives me a call in late December, early January, and says, we need to talk. And so we got together, and he described this project before me, substantially larger than what I was looking at, and probably just important, or actually more importantly, he had indicated that these individuals, Brad and Jill Moline, they'd been talking to him and they had extensive grocery experience. I left that very short meeting with the understanding that we were not going to have 2 grocery markets in the Haymarket. We needed to identify the space and confirm the space, and it was worth having a conversation. Less than a week later, I met with Jill and Brad, and immediately we at least we got out of that conversation that they could bring some incredibly unique experience that Whited Oil Company didn't already have within the grocery market area. And then likewise, we brought some local expertise that, being brand new to Lincoln, that they didn't already have. So we quickly developed a 50-50 partnership, which this will be operated under. So this will not be a Whitehead Oil Company location. This will, in fact, be done by a separate LLC, owned 50% by the Molines, 50% by Whitehead Oil Company. Each one of us bring unique perspectives that, going back to the beginning of my comments, are designed to identify and meet consumer demands. We'll have a little bit of a convenience store component to it, but a good 3/4 or 4/5 of this will be grocery market identified, which all of us have identified as a very strong need down in the Haymarket. And we're incredibly excited about teaming up with Nelnet and Speedway to make this happen.
Okay, thank you both very much. And the last strong partner in this, of course, is Nelnet, and I think Terry's the designated hitter here
Yep.
for Nelnet. Okay.
I lost the coin flip. On behalf of Jeff and I, we'd like to thank the mayor and Dave and their staff for the opportunity. We continue to partner with Speedway. I think a couple of things that you heard today are important, and that goes to Lincoln working together to expand a vision. And whether it's Mark and Jill expanding in terms of the grocery, whether it's Speedway and Nelnet continuing to look and expand what the West Haymarket is, or whether together with the City of Lincoln and the administration really focusing on how we can continue to grow and develop the area. It brings a lot of unique things. It's not just a housing area. It brings the short bay retail. It brings the unique atmosphere of the grocery store. And so we're just excited about the opportunity to really continue to grow with the city and bring extra stuff to. And we really, again, thank Dave and the mayor and their staff for the opportunity to continue to work together.
Okay, thank you very much. Terry, David, did either of you have thoughts you wanted to throw in?
If you were going to Mayor Beitler's inauguration when he first came into office and you drove in from Westo and you got to the Harris Overpass and you looked down to your left, you would have seen 17 lines of railroads. They weren't an active railroad yard, they were storage. 15 of them weren't used for anything but storage of graffitied railroad cars. You would have seen some railroad structures with broken out windows that hadn't been maintained or refurbished for a generation. If you look to the right, you would have seen an electrical service station, you would have seen a scrap metal yard, and you would have seen brownfields that were in need of remediation. When you make that drive today, on the left-hand side, you see about $400 million of public-private partnership and investment. You see an entertainment district, you see multiple large-scale buildings, and a Pinnacle Bank arena. And on the right-hand side, you see a new city garage, and you see the area that our planning department and city council have agreed to be the South Haymarket plan. And as part of that, residential business and commercial opportunities are to exist. And this will be the most obvious structure coming from the west that you're going to see for a generation. Because of where it's placed, it's not going to be superseded by a building in front of it. We will be looking at that frontis for a generation, and it will be the first welcoming signal coming into Lincoln over the Harris Overpass. That's the amount of change that Lincoln has had in this unprecedented period that we've been doing city building. And it's an honor and a pleasure to work with the private sector to make that happen.
Great historical perspective. Terry?
Yeah, Terry Euler with Downtown Lincoln Association. We're not part of the formal partnership. I guess I'm here as a celebrant. I've been with DLA for 9 years. We frequently survey and have meetings with downtown constituents, and in those 9 years, we've never done one survey without the grocery store issue being at the top of the list. So this is the holy grail for downtown. And being able to make this work is a real achievement, because in the downtown world of retail, grocery stores, for a variety of reasons, are very challenging. So the partnership that's been put together and the design that Clay alluded to briefly about how to make that store accessible for not only pedestrians but for people in cars really helps put wheels under that whole idea. So we're just so happy. Thanks.
Thank you. Okay, questions?
Could I ask a time frame?
Time frame?
For the development?
Well, we hope that we're going to be.
I'm sorry. Sorry.
Clay Smith. We hope to have the agreement completed by the end of this year, and construction would begin in the spring.
How long?
Well, my construction manager isn't here, but I think we're going to try to get most of the work done in 2017.
Does the grocery store have a name?
That is still work in progress.
Okay.
Each one of the three grocery stores that the Molines are operating have the name of the community in which they operate, and then we're U-Stop, so we are, there's several moving parts on this. We'll initially start with working with Clay's people to identify exactly the space we've got available as it relates to columns and the rest of that. We'll have the design of our store done by the end of this year in terms of our offerings and the rest of that based on that. And then just as quickly as Clay's people can get it going, we're ready to go in.
And I would imagine that you all have surveyed quite extensively to determine the need for housing. Do you see a continuing need for housing in Lincoln, and especially the downtown area?
The question is the need for downtown housing. There is a wave that is sweeping the country right now, and the young millennials want to live in urban environments up until a point in time when they're blessed with children and or make commitments, family commitments. So that urban environment and that urban living is what we've seen happen over the last 10 years. Terry probably can give you some very specific growth numbers. The 2 points that we have as a point of reference are the buildings that we've done in the downtown area. One is the Cadillac Lofts, and the other one is the Arena Lofts. So the Cadillac Lofts over on P Street, and the Arena Lofts is on 8th Street. Those two projects included 87 units and 119 beds. We leased those projects within 40 days without advertising. So that tells me, and we have a waiting list on one of the buildings that is larger than the number of rooms that we have available. So that tells me that the young professionals do want to live downtown. You know, when you think about what David described as this new environment in the Haymarket, it's where the action is. It's where people want to live, work, and play. And so having more options for people to live downtown is really, I think, a critical objective for the DLA and also an objective for developers, because we need to meet that demand.
Pardon me, Clay. Terry's organization keeps a running survey of downtown occupancy. Downtown occupancy is well over 90%, adding all, not the hotels, but living spaces, whether it's rentals or condos. It's well over 90% and has been significantly. So there's a good confirmation of the market that Clay's identified.
David, as long as you're up there, I assume that TIP funds will be helping this project. Do you have any idea what we're talking about?
The project itself is listed in its descriptor to us in the selection committee at about $11 million. And that usually would mean, that would imply some TIF proceeds between $1 and $2 million.
Okay, you all good to go? Thank you very much.